So let's discuss some budget options for Limit 1 Festival. And as always with any event, when discussing budget options, we gotta start with the loners and how good or how bad they are. Not sure about this one. The coalition of sagacious spellcasters. Imagine making a spellcaster deck and not having the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense in the deck. I mean, come on, bruh. There's also the Super Poly with no Mud Dragon and Garua. Love that. This is the only deck with Orbital Hydrolander, funnily enough, so that's pretty neat. I think this is the worst one, but it's probably okay depending on if you draw open Alistair or not. Yeah, it's not really consistent because everything is a one-off, and if you don't open Blue Boy or your searchers, it might be a little off, but I mean, if you play against other loner decks, it should be fine, right? I think this is a bit better just because you have more standalone cards. Specifically, this gives you 5 zoo monsters plus barrage, so that's basically 6 zoo monsters, and every zoo monster represents a Trident or a Zeus, so that in alone is way more consistent and a way higher consistent power level than the first loner deck. And of course you got Ancient Warriors. If you got other beast stuff, you can in a grind game you can use your Tri-Blade monsters to actually make your Tri-Blade Link, so that's actually cool. And you can hard make double Dragon Lord, so this is alright. Also has Hydrolander. It's just this doesn't have really any defensive cards like hand traps, so maybe if you face against a combo wombo deck, it's kinda might be rough if you go second, but this is probably better than the first one. And the Visas cards. Okay, so there's a lot of cards in here that you might be thinking, like Clear New World, Beta Kalanta, Realm Elegy, Loka Samsara, that you might not have ever heard about, and you've never heard Runadian players ever talk about these cards, or even know that these exist. Well, the reason for that is, much like many IPs and franchises, usually by the time you get to the second half of the franchise, it's all downhill from here. As soon as you hit the Veda Kalanta arc in the Visas lore, all the card quality goes to shit, and all of these cards suck ass. So like, you have as soon as you go from, you have Scareclaws, and then Tyrlamins, and then Kashtira and Monodium. These are fine cards, and then as soon as you get past that point, all of the cards afterwards are bad. So you have like 60% of a decent deck in here, and then like 40% of the cards are kind of trash. But you know, if you draw the right 60%, you could potentially do stuff with it. Maybe it's still inconsistent. There's like a lot of bricks in here that are not exactly great, and like a few one card combos. You can most likely you'll be able to end on one of your archetypal boss monsters, either a Tri-Heart and a Riot Heart if you're lucky, one of the tier fusions, or Amritara. You can make Prime Heart, but Prime Heart kind of sucks. This is a bait. It's funny. This is their only level 10 synchro they gave you, and it's not even worth going into this. So yeah, I mean this is fine. It's probably, I would say this is about as good as the Beast loner deck. These, you're not gonna get high win rates with these, but you can maybe complete the event if you're just like FF really quickly if you're in a losing position. And as for before we get to cover the decks, I want to cover the staples. So no matter what deck you play, you're probably gonna have like 20-ish to 30-ish good cards that you're happy with in your deck that's filled out. But then you have to fill out the rest of the 10 to like 20 cards in your deck so that you can get to 40 cards. So here I listed, this is basically a bunch of budget options that you can use to fill out your deck's space with. Every single one of these is it's either an SR or lower, or it's from a bundle. So you are Effect Veiler is from bundle. This is from Ash is from a bundle. Raigeki is free, Lightning Storm is from a bundle, Tactics is from a bundle, Droplet is from a bundle, Infirm is from a bundle, Solemn is from a bundle, and Nibiru is from a bundle. The only two cards in here that are URs and that you have to like kind of craft yourself is Magnamut and Heartbeast Feather Duster. But I think that these are good enough cards as is to where I believe they're worth crafting if you don't have them already at some point. So yeah, Magnamut is the best Bistio, and then Duster is just Duster. It's the best generic back removal in the game. So yeah, between these 31 cards, and let me know if there are other budget options that I'm missing out that you could run. So we have the driver package with Gamma, and Psyframe Delta is probably the next best Psyframe gear hand trap. This is basically a Gamma for for spell cards. So it's not good going first. Obviously, you can't like hit Ash with Gamma. Not that that's gonna happen because they're both at once. So like really, you shouldn't expect to resolve Gamma on your turn anyways. But yeah, if you want to run another payoff for running driver, then Delta is the next best Psyframe, and then Crow is just generic. There's Tyr and Brandon are projected to be good decks this event, and cards like Crow and cards like the Bestials, 3 of which are only SRs, are pretty good against them. Valor, again, good generic card. Droll, maybe kind of iffy, but again, we're kind of down bad on hand trap options, so this might just make the cut based on how much deck space you have to fill. Ash Skullmeister is basically just like a worse version of Crow, but it is another hand trap that you can use. You have Kaijus. Every Kaiju except Dogeron is SR below, so you have options here, including Santa Claus, Come Among Us. Phantasme is another possible hand trap. I wouldn't recommend running this in most decks because if Tyr and Brand are predicted to be the best decks, then Phantasme is going to be really bad against those two. But yeah, it's an option to consider if you really have to fill up that much deck space. Nibiru, Dark Hole, and Bright Geki are generic board wipes, especially if you're playing a going second strategy. These are pretty decent. Same with a Lightning Storm and Feather Duster. Tactics may not be as great because there's less hand trapped in the format and no maxi, but it's probably fine going second. Prosperity, I think almost every deck should consider running Prosperity just because you have to make up the consistency somewhere, and even if you only Prosperity for 3 cards, Prosperity for 3 is completely fine. That's you're digging for 3 cards for free, basically. Like I would heavily consider running this in your deck if you have room, unless you're guaranteed to draw a card every single turn in your strategy. Otherwise, let's try to slot Prosperity in. Chalice is just a budget droplet basically, and Imperm and Solemn is for going first. So yeah, these are between all of these generic staples, you should be able to fill out your deck to get the 40 cards, no matter which deck you play. But I mean, let's get onto the actual budget deck option. So obviously, when discussing any budget option for an event, and when legal, we're gonna have to basically figure out a way to make the Swordsoul structure deck playable in this Limit 1 festival. And this is not going to be the best win rate deck, okay? If you can somehow get a 50% win rate of a deck like this, consider yourself a god gamer. But at the same time, this is essentially free for the most part. So it's low cost, and it's probably better built than the other loaners. So you take it if you can. The problem really is that it's not even getting to Moye only, it's that you need to open Moye plus another Swordsoul monster or a worm in order to actually get your plays going. So besides this regular staples that I basically mentioned in the previous part of the generic staples, we're running a bunch of more worm monsters and Swordsoul cards that you normally wouldn't run, but you need to just for as reveals for Moye. So among the tennies, we're running Shifana, Ashuna, Vishuddha, and Adara, obviously, because those are the best ones. Then also a copy of Mapura, just because as another additional worms that you can reveal. And it's a level 4, so it works with Heavenly Dragon Circle to dodge the one of Imperm and the one of Valor, so it's fine. You have the Golden Swordsoul, which is it is a Swordsoul monster. It is a Swordsoul card. That's pretty much it. And then the one Longyan, the one Chungjin, the Chug Jug. Yeah, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for playable Swordsoul cards here. In fact, we're also running a Iris Swordsoul, which is honestly not even the worst. because if you need a beater, you can, and you already gone through your Moya, you can Ecclesia it to summon the Iron Swordsoul. But also, if you're lucky enough to get your turn 1 Chi-Shao, then when Chi-Shao negates a monster, then you can special summon Iron Swordsoul after your Chi-Shao negates something, and then boom, you're probably in a heavily winning position right there, because it's a limit 1 festival and every deck's kind of inconsistent. Yeah, also the Sacred Summon is a Swordsoul card. So yeah, we're running Vessel for a Dragon Cycle. That's another reason why we're on a bit more a higher Tenyi count, just to make this card slightly better. You Prosperity, like, you have to run Prosperity in a deck like this. Bro, you can looking at the extra, you can banish 6 for free, and who cares if you don't get the draw off Moye, bro? If you don't get to Moye in the first place, then like the Prosperity not being able to draw doesn't even matter anyways. So really, you gotta play Prosperity in this deck. And honestly, I would say you probably play Desires too. I know everything's is at 1. You banish your one of Black Hell, your one of Long End. What are you gonna do? Well, if you don't open playable, you want to draw 2 cards, okay? Why not have the chance to unbrick yourself instead of just being 100% bricked up and not being able to do anything? Well, the non-engines that I've decided to run, I think the Bystials, you're going to have to play a bunch of Bystial control. You're going to have the Bystials carry you versus matchups against like Tyr and Branded. But also, Magnum Bud it's actually a really... I would say Magnum Buds is semi-important. If you don't have Magnum Buds, you don't have to run this, because this is a UR and it's not in like a bundle. So if you're newer to the game and you only have the Swordsoul structure deck, you might not be able to get a Magnum Bud yet. But Magnum Bud is semi-important because it adds the Strudel, and the Strudel is actually really important because the Strudel basically lets you make Yahtzee, and Yahtzee guarantees to get you Engine. Because going second, you can any monster plus the Strudel goes into Yahtzee. Yahtzee pops your opponent's cards. Then Yahtzee summons a Taya from the deck, and then Taya can just banish the Yahtzee that you just popped, and then go into full Swordsoul combo that way. So, in my opinion, this is like one of the strongest plays the deck has, which is the Strudel into the Yahtzee, which gets you your full engine going. Oh yeah, that's and Magnum, obviously, it can search as a dragon, so it can search Yahtzee when you're going second. And then all of this is just generic hand traps. The Gamma Delta, the Driver, Crow, and Meister, good against Branded, Tyr, those kinds of decks. Veiler, Droll. Yet to be determined whether Droll is actually good, but I'll just include in as a budget option. Ash, Bundle. Imperm bundle, Tactics bundle, Droplet bundle, Chalice bad Droplet, Raigeki free, Lightning Storm bundle, Nibiru bundle. Yeah, and then for the extra deck options, this is about as budget as I'll go. Baron, I think you need to own a Baron on your account. So Baron is like really important for a Swordsoul. But yeah, just Chi-Shao, Changing, Cheesing, these are all from the structure deck. Yahtzee, Samurai Destroyer, level 7, Maple Maiden, level 7. We're not exhibiting maidenless behavior with this deck. Crimson Blader, actually pretty decent if you get its effect off. Your opponent can't summon level 5 or higher monsters. So goodbye Tyr, goodbye Branded, goodbye Mirror Match. Boxia, Spin 2. Scarlight, Pop the Field. White, Pop the Field. Monk, Shaman, Berserker, and Sazahara, just because you can't have multiple copies of Monk. So if you're in a position where you have to link climb to do something, it's nice to have the higher ranked Tennies monsters. And if you aren't on a budget, but for some reason you want to play Swordsoul, here are some non-budget options you can consider that if you have hand traps such as Ogre, Bell. We should have Mourner in here too, yeah. And Mourner, obviously these are good options, they're just generic hand traps, but these are URs, so I'm not expecting everyone to have these. Omega is a level 8 synchro. Draco Berserker is a staple in Swordsoul, but if you don't have it, it's fine. Excel's Synchro Stars to go with the Gamma. Chaofeng as a level 9 synchro for the you can do the lines for this do come up, not as often in a limit 1. Generic level 10 synchros. like Ruddy Rose and Chimera Agerine, you can make this with a water token, because the tokens are water and this needs a water tuner. Dissipator, because you're on Bystials, so you can make this with a Bystial plus a token and do stuff from there. Pep works with level 4 tuners plus your level 7 Tennies, so Ashuna Vishuda plus like a token or Ecclesia, and then if you own Chicken Game or Upstart, again, the more consistency does help. So yeah, this is like a Swordsoul pile. Whoops. Yeah, I should include Upstart in the favorite, so Upstart also for consistency. Yeah, this is like what a Swordsoul deck might look like. It's pretty budget, not the best, but again, you make do with what you got. Another budget staple in these events is Marincess, and as long as Marincess cards are legal in some way, shape, or form, you can build a competent Marincess deck on a budget. And most of the main deck is entirely basically budget, and the extra deck has a few UR options that if you're not planning on playing Marincess, you don't need these. I have on my bookmark tabs the side here some non-budget options for seasoned Marincess players if you want to try and use them. But if you don't own any Marincess cards, again, the main deck, all of this is just staples and like bundle packs, and then everything else is SR or below essentially in the main deck. So yeah, I'm not gonna go over the staples every single time like Crow or the hand traps or like the bundle cards, because by now I think you should be familiar with these. And Bystials, again, very good against some of the projected best decks. So the Marincess cards. The great thing about Marincess is that every single Marincess monster, no matter how bad it is at minimum a link 4, because you can summon your Marincess monster, link it off into Sea Angel. Sea Angel adds dive it right to your Marincess monster, go into Splash Mage, revive one of your CYBERSE Marincess monsters, link into an enemy, bring back the Splash Mage, and then boom, you go into Great Bubble Reef and you draw a card during your opponent's turn with a bunch of non-engine presumably. So this is actually one of the more consistent decks in probably the format, just because the extra deck monsters are so generically easily made. And what's even better is that while the Link 1s, the Sea Angel and the Blue Slug, require Marincess monsters, every other Marincess monster, or every other Link monster in the extra deck, with the exception of Coral Triangle, only needs water monsters. You don't need Marincess monsters, which means that even though the Marincess monsters are limited, you can make up for this by running just any generic water extenders to make up for the consistency, which there are a shit ton of in this game. Water has like one of the largest pools of extenders in the game. Sorry for the pun. But yeah, the Marincess monsters, we're running just one of each of every Marincess monster, just because just max out on the possible Marincess monsters names. Like this. Just search Marincess in your search tab and put in one of every monster in it, and that would be fine. And then one Cyanide Mining adds NBT, the best Marincess monster. And for the water extenders, okay, so there are a lot of water extenders. It's not just limited to these. You can run more if you want, but Ice Knight basically gives you another normal summon of a water monster. Silent Angler, special this if you control a water monster. Abyss, a Dream Strike, special this if you control no monsters or control a water monster. Dream Strike, Abyss Strike. If you control a water monster, special summon this. You add yourself a Silent Angler or a Dream Strike. So Abyss Strike is a double extender. Sea Nettle, if you control a water monster, special summon this. And yeah, where's this? Abyss Teas. Discard a water monster, special summon this, and then you can add one of two things. You can add Abyssine, and then when Abyssine special adds itself, you can special summon it directly. And with these two, you can directly link these two into a Coral Anemone, because Coral Anemone requires no Marincess monsters. So this is just a 1.5 card link to play by itself. If you don't have any Marincess monsters though, you can Abyss Teas, search Abyss Pike normal summon, discard a water monster, add a level 3 water monster from your deck to your hand. So you can search your Marincess Seahorse this way, and then link these two off into a current enemy, and then you get the combo off that way too. So just this deck is honestly really, obviously you also run Pot of Desires, you can run Prosperity, and Marincess Dive and Battle Ocean as the search targets. Wave, use add this Coral Triangle. So if you don't own Argonaut or Coral Triangle, it's fine. You just make these as your link fours instead, Wonder Heart and Great Bubble Reef, and it's mostly fine. Kragan and Stealth Kragan spawn, these are from the Legacy pack, so you should probably have a Stealth Kragan at this point. If you don't worry about it. Rank 4s aren't that important for the deck. Then you just run one of each of every Marincess link. Crystal Heart, you can make it Towers with Battle Ocean, it's pretty nice. Slash Mage, generic Water Charmer, Abyss Keeper. So if you have a fish monster, which this is a fish, this is a fish, this is not a fish, this is a fish, you can summon a fish monster to a zone that Abyss Keeper points to, and then you can target a fish monster and then banish one of your opponent's cards too. So this is a nice, just randomly it's nice generic removal too, since we're on fish extenders in the main deck too. And Gamma Seal, or okay, what am I saying? Gamma with Zealantis. If you're not a Snake Eyes player, you might not have this, but if you are Snake Eyes, if you are a Snake Eyes player, this is, and you think Zealantis is broken in Snake Eyes, wait until you play it Zealantis in the deck that waterlocks itself. Because if you waterlock yourself, you Zealantis banish the entire fucking field, and none of their shit comes back unless it's water monster, because you are the one special something their monsters. And if you're waterlocked, you can't. Every single one of your opponent's monsters that is not a water is gone forever. Absolutely fucking broken. This is the deck. Like honestly, if they print water Snake Eyes while Zealantis is still legal, the game is like literally over. Like it's an unplayable, because this Zealantis plus Waterlock is absolutely disgusting. And if you works with Gamma Seal too, because if you give your opponent a Gamma Seal, then you Zealantis it, the Gamma Seal comes back to your field. So you just get a free 2200. Like this is insanely broken. Like if Marincess was any good as a deck, everybody would be absolutely sick and tired of Zealantis. So yeah, this is basically a summary of the deck. And for non-budget options, more high-end options, Ran Eating, this is basically Water Longyang. It summons a level 3 token by discarding a water monster, but it locks into waters. But basically this is a tuner, so you can use this to make Gamer Eating, which is a UR. But if you have this, consider it. And then other Xyz options, Nash Knight is a rank 5, which you can make rank 5s with Sleeping Maiden plus Dreamshark. So you can actually go into Nash Knight for a quick effect suck. You can go into removal with Nash Knight. You can run the Armored Xyz package too if you have the URs for that as well. Then obviously Coral Triangle and Argonaut. Argonaut is a spell trap negate, and the Coral Triangle adds Marincess Wave, which is Marincess Wave makes every one of your monsters a tower, so just boom. Like, yeah, it's pretty hard to deal with even in standard if you get that far. UR hand traps, this non-engine deck, so you can have room for hand traps, and then the consistency cards shaking game and upstart you can put in any deck. Alright, so example combo. I'm just gonna play this real fast. Using none of the UR options in the extra deck, so we have Open Up Prosperity, and I'm just gonna get rid of these UR options to showcase the combo. Boom, 6. And see what we get off the Prosperity. I mean, don't mind if I do. Free Marincess Wave. Prosperity, insanely broken in this deck. Insanely broken in any deck, honestly. And here, let's go Seahorse into Blue Slug. Blue Slug, add back the Seahorse. Special the Seahorse. Link off Seahorse into Sea Angel. And Sea Angel will get us a Battle Ocean. I will activate Battle Ocean. Link these two off into Crystal Heart. And special. No, I'm not gonna waste your time. Spring Girl special. Banish. We'll banish Sea Slug. Then link these two off into Coral Anemone. Then this will trigger Spring Girl, see if we hit anything. Just the desires, whatever. So Coral Anemone will bring back the Crystal Heart. Then we'll link these two into a Bubble Reef. Then finally we'll attach off Battle Ocean, and then Coral Anemone will add us one of these cards back for follow-up. So we'll add a Spring Girl back for follow-up on the next turn. And we'll attach these three. So yeah, basically a 2-card combo with almost any 2 water monsters. You got to a Link 4 unaffected towers. We also sacked the wave off of the Prosperity as well. You can also sack this off the blue tank, so that's another negate. Then you just have a bunch of non-engine. And you know, it's very consistent. This combo was done with no UR, none of the UR cards. If you have access to the UR cards, Marincess cards, it would be even better. You could end on a Spell Trap Negate too to protect your Battle Ocean, to keep your monster at towers as well. And then obviously you have Zealandis on the crackback, and Zealandis is insane with Waterlock, as I mentioned. So yeah, this is a extremely consistent, extremely nice budget option. Probably better than Swordsoul in my opinion. And yeah. CYBERSE monsters. Hell yeah. This is basically abusing the fact that every single CYBERSE monster is either an extender or something that summons another CYBERSE monster. So, you know, any 3 bodies is an OTK. You can go Access Code, Transcode, Update Jammer. You could go Terahertz, Dump Multiplication. In the damage step, go to 11k, attack over anything that's under 3k for game. You can do Terahertz linked with Crystal Hearts. The Terahertz is 6100 piercing, attacking twice. Basically, you get the 3 monsters on the field. It's an OTK. And I say 3 monsters because this is a budget build. Obviously, if you own Link Decoder, this deck is much better because Link Decoder makes it so that literally any 2 monsters is a Terahertz. So any 2 monsters, 2 scraps on the table equals an OTK. But I'm assuming that if you have Link Decoder, you probably own all the MathMech stuff already, and you could honestly, if you have the MathMech URs and the Decipher, you could probably just play a normal MathMech deck instead of going second blind CYBERSE deck. This is for the budget people. Okay, if you're not a budget player but you have the MathMech cuts, I would consider just playing straight up just playing MathMech for a limit 1 event. And yeah, so here I'm going over the other CYBERSE monsters that aren't URs that you could fill in that spot. So obviously that means we don't have the Link Decoder and we don't have Almirage, because Almirage is for some reason not it's not in any structure deck or anything, so you have to hard craft this. So you might not have Almirage, but it's okay. You don't need Almirage because any CYBERSE monster you can just link off into a Spalinx or a Linkaribo if you need to link one anyway, so it's not the biggest deal. Decoder is the big deal, but it's fine. This is a budget build, okay? You can just play. You're blinding second. You're playing non-engine. Actually, you can make use of Gamma and Delta because you don't care. You're about breaking on these going first because you're never going first. So you know, these are powerful hand traps now, and board wipes and Bestials. Bestials, you can summon them on your opponent's turn, because don't want to summon them on your turn because then it turns off your Transcode Talker, because then you can't use its effect anymore because you special summon non-CYBERSE this turn. But on your opponent's turn, it's still good. Same with Phantasme, just as a way to filter out your hand. Try to draw into like your board breakers and your broken CYBERSE monsters. Speaking of the CYBERSE monsters, so Dot Skipper, 1 card, 2 CYBERSE bodies. Format Skipper, not 1 card, 2 CYBERSE bodies. However, you can Format Skipper and you can search a Gachiri Adagnister or a Code Exporter or a not Code Exporter. You can search one of these to when you link off your format skipper into, say, like an Almiraj or a Lingerevo, for example. And Gacheri is nice. If you don't know, you can use this to make with an access code. You make an access code using Gacheri. Chainlink 1 Gacheri to make access code unaffected, and Chainlink 2 use access code's effect to gain attack. Your opponent cannot respond to that, so now after the chain resolves, your access code is unaffected, and you can pop whatever you want, and your opponent has no response window to actually just prevent your Gacheri from resolving to make your access code unaffected. So that's a nice tech right there. And Seed Archiver, it's if you summon to a link point, this comes back to this is sort of like 2 CYBERSE bodies. You just want to get all the extenders you can. Code Generator, you can use this as an extender in hand, and then when it you link it off, you can send a CYBERSE monster with 1200 or less attack to the graveyard, so you could send like a Dot Scraper and get an extra body that way, or you can send something else to revive off of Splash Mage, for example, like a Microcoder. Microcoder can search Cyan Mining. Cyan Mining searches any CYBERSE monster in the deck. Gazelle is 2 CYBERSE bodies. You can dump Spinny or dump Jack Jaguar. Either one of these gets you 2 bodies. The Lady Debug searches like a Spinny that gets you 2 CYBERSE bodies, or you can search literally any one of these extenders that also gets you a CYBERSE body. Yep, Clock, normal summon, get a token, 2 CYBERSE bodies. Firewall Guardian is 2 CYBERSE bodies, although it banishes itself, so it's not combo by itself, even if you have Decoder. But, you know, if you have this plus any extender, it's pretty much you always have the material, and you need to run it for the Firewall Defensor. Firewall Defensor is 1 card, 3 CYBERSE bodies, which is probably the most bodies you're going to get from any normal summon. Extender. This is for the Terahertz OTK. Code Exporter. It's another link, another CYBERSE card you can use to link it from your hand into a Code Talker, and then you could ideally you want to like link this off later on the turn, special summon it back with what's it called, Splash Mage, then link this off again, then use this effect and special summon another CYBERSE monster, so you could just get infinite bodies, and you can just go like axe to kill, pop before even committing to like a Dark Fluid or a Terahertz, for example. And yeah, these are just staples. Mining, Saturning Circle adds Gazelle, which Gazelle is again 2 CYBERSE bodies. And you just spam CYBERSE bodies, and you just kill your opponent with Terahertz and Axis build. The extra Aggregator will really never come up because you're playing blind second. Link Spider for Nibiru token. Link 1. Code Talker Link 2. Code Talker Link 2. Update Jammer. Link 2 with a fire that might come up in some weird situations where you can go this into Heat Leo and reduce your monster's attack to 0. Splash Mage is Splash Mage. Crystal Heart brings back Transco Talker. Transco Talker is Transco Talker. Heat Soul is Heat Soul. And also notably is a Code Talker, so it works with Code Exporter, Generator, and Microcoder. You could also like use that entire Ignister engine as your link climbing engine as well. Like replace all these CYBERSE monsters and put in an Ignister engine, and then just run all the Ignister link climbing stuff. You don't have to play Dark Templar or a Rival or anything. You just use these as the link climbing engine to go into your, you know, your high level links. That works too. But yeah, this is, and honestly, these aren't even necessarily the best CYBERSE monster you can run. I'm sure like more experienced CYBERSE players can literally just put any single CYBERSE monster, or like you can put any combination of CYBERSE monsters in this deck and it'll probably work in some way, because 99% of the CYBERSE monsters have the same effects anyways. So yeah, just work out, just throw in whatever you want, and you just end goal, kill your opponent with these 2. Very simple. Well yeah, hopefully between these 3 decks you'll find something playable within your budget, and don't forget all the staples I've shown you can use to fill out your deck. And yeah, if you're not tied to a budget, I made another video covering some of the best decks of this format, and go check out that video here if you have a bit more URs to play with.